This conference will now be recorded.
Lightning data service. So what do you mean by data service? What do you mean by data service? Right? The name implies it's related to data, isn't it? So from the view, right? The view need a data from the database. The view need a data from the database model. You can say model. In MES architecture, we say view, model, and controller. To get the data, right? To need a data. I mean to retrieve the data. We write Apex. We record Apex, isn't it? So Apex is required to get the data from the database. So where you write your business logic and that required test class to be written, isn't it? When you deploy to production, and it requires a skilled developer to write the Apex code, isn't it? So even in Lightning, we reduce the dependency on the Apex, and we reduce the dependency by by including the business logic in the JS controller, so that we reduce the dependency on the Apex. So Apex we required to include SOQL and DML operations, isn't it? So we go for Apex. But even in Classic, we have a standard controller, isn't it? We have standard controller. So with the help of standard controller, we can get the data service. We can get the data service without writing a custom controller Apex class, right? So standard controller is used to retrieve the data. It's used to query the database, and you can perform DML with the standard functions, save, delete, isn't it? Edit. So you can do that without writing a custom controller. Similarly, we also have what exactly the standard controller is providing to you in Classic. We also have a Lightning data service in the Aura components, Lightning framework. So that's called Lightning data service. That's what we're going to discuss now. So we will also refer it as in short LDS, Lightning data service. So you need not write a Apex class here, right? So far you have seen in Aura components, we have written the Apex class, right? And include the Apex class in the component with the controller attribute, isn't it? So we get the data. But in the case of Lightning data service, the inbuilt data service, like your standard controller, you need not write Apex class. You can perform the standard functions, with the help of Lightning data service. So this is nothing but a data layer for your Lightning, and okay. And what are the other benefits you have in the Lightning data service? An important benefit. Say for example, I have a component 1, and I have a component 2, a component 3 in my Lightning page. I have 3 components. I have component 1, and I have component 2 and component 3. There are 3 components I have in my Lightning application page, right? And with the help of Lightning data service, the component 1 get the data and update something. The component 1 is updating something, edit information and update the some data in the object. Say for example, I have some account edit page. I have account edit page, and this component displaying the few information about the account, maybe account main information like name, industry, phone number, etc. And this account is displaying some some shipping related details, again account details. And but these three are three different components: component 1, component 2, component 3. Okay, three different components: component 1, component 2, and component 3. Right, so the component 1 performing some DML operation through LDS data service. And so that when you update from component 1, then component 1 will get the updated information, right? Because this is a component will performing DML. Suppose I modify the phone number. Then we know like once the phone number is modified, that will reflect in this component, because this is a component we perform DML. But what about these two components? To get the updated data for these two components, we need to retrieve the data and refresh it, isn't it? So that's how we always do, even in Lightning. One component is, because we have a DML, everything is specific to this component. Through Apex, we perform, or through through Apex, we perform update DML, update the data. Then other two and three other components will not get the updated information unless we again refresh this component and call this method and get the updated data. So we need to make an independent call. We need to make an independent call to get the updated data from the database. But when this will happen, if you update, traditional way using Apex, isn't it? So this is traditionally how you do it. Basically, when you update something, you have to refresh the whole page so that you'll get the updated data for every other components in the page. But what will happen if you do DML with the help of LDS data service? You just made only one call, but all the components will be able to get the updated data. All the components in the bundle in the application will be able to, with just one call, in the component 1, component 2 and component 3 will also get the same set of data, so that all the time you need not made an independent call. So just always this greatly save your DML, and it greatly save your reduces the redundant call, and you refresh one component and all the components get refreshed. But in general, that is not the case, right? In Apex, if you do one DML in one, update the data, and other components will not get the update information. You have to make independent call. You able to follow this? Are you clear? Are you clear what I'm trying to say here is? Are you clear? You will understand? Okay. So that is the key important part of your Lightning data service. So you fetch data record once, and you reduces the network transfers, and data load everything, because all the components will get the updated data, and it share the data across the component. Okay. So we need not go with event handling and all those things. So one data you update, and every data will get the similar type of information. And it also cache the record in the cache part of the memory, which means it works faster. You need not every time rely on the server, right? So as long as the server and cache sync, you'll see you'll able to get the data from the cache. Your application performance will be better. Okay, so what type of service the data layer LDS provide to you? It provide all the services like you can create a record, you can update. Okay, maybe you start from read. You can read, create, edit, delete. Okay, so all these crude operation, you can say like a crude operation: create, read, update, delete. So all these can be done with the help of Lightning Data Service. So what are the tags we have? What are the tags we have? I mean, components we have to implement this Lightning Data Service. What are the components we have to implement the Lightning Data Service? We have Lightning record form. Lightning record form. So this is used to, what is the use of this? With the help of this component, we can display the record, we can create, right? Display, create, or edit. So these are things we can do. And we have Lightning record view form, right? You can guess it. What is the importance of this? This can only display the record, display only, right? And we have Lightning edit form, Lightning edit form. The edit form will help you to create and edit only, right? And we have another tag, another component that belongs to namespace force called record data. So what is the use of this? This is going to help you to perform not only create, edit, you can also do delete operation also. Okay, and it's more customization you can do. When I say customization, more scope for customization. You think about your standard controller page. You cannot customize more, right? When you use standard controller, input field you'll use in classic, and isn't it? And when you use a page block section in as a parent for input field, you get the label of the field. So less customization, more like a standard look and feel. But with the help of record data, without writing Apex, like every other component, you can get the data service. In addition to that, it's provide you more granular customization, right? Compared to other components. We are going to see that how we are going to achieve this. Able to follow this, all of you? Okay, we'll start with the Lightning record form. And Lightning record form takes very simple syntax. Takes very simple syntax. All you have to do is there's a tag, and it's going to have a record ID, an attribute. So you have to pass the record ID. To which record you would like to display, which record you would like to create, I mean, which record you would like to edit, isn't it? If you do not edit, then you will not include this record ID. Got me? Like your standard controller page, right? Which record ID from the ID in the URL, isn't it? So this must be implemented in any of your Lightning page. It's not standalone application. You're going to implement this in a Lightning page. So if you are going to edit, if you are going to display, isn't it? If you're going to edit, if you're going to display, you will dynamically, you can, to get the record ID, you can implement this. Else you will give the record ID hard coded value. Then this record form will appear. Okay, for whatever the record ID you pass here. So this is going to accept record ID, and so where I need to mention which object the lightning record form is going to uh, relate, right? Related to. So here you will see, no, here you'll mention the object name here. So record ID of the object, which object, maybe if it is a standard object, then going to name. If it is a custom object, it's going to be API name. Got me? And then what field you are going to display? What field you are going to display? Whether you are going to display, um, you know, name field, and I'm going to display type. So like that, you can know with comma separated, you can give a field here. So only those fields will appear in the form. Able to follow this? Able to follow this? Shall we have a quick demo now? There you go. Right. So right now I'm going to hard code. You heard me? So you got this, and there is a pencil icon will appear. You know, we have seen the purpose, right? It can be used to display, create, and edit. So the Lightning data service, right? Record form is one of the service, a tag which provides the data service. It's a data layer where you get the data without writing any Apex code. You just refer, know the record ID, to which record ID and what is the object. You have to follow the same case, object API name, caps A, caps N, got me? And which will you like to display? Name. And that will appear as a pencil icon, symbol icon here. When you click on this, it automatically brings the interface cancel and save. Got me? So you save this, go back and refresh. It's taking too much time. So it's modified, isn't it? Yes, this must be given in other way. If you are just going for one field, uh, this is fine. This approach is fine. But when you give multiple fields, then you have to set like a array. So let me uh, get it. For one field. Okay, and if I go for more than one field, then I would say I declare an array. Let's say fields and type equal to string, right? Then I initialize initialize an array with the labels. I hope you are able to follow this. So what I have to mention here? Fields. How will you refer the attribute? V dot fields. Are you good? Are you good here? So I have three fields, right? Able to follow this? Everyone is good here. So right, so every field is when you click on this, then automatically this interface will appear, and we can modify. And if you see here, we get the drop down, right? A drop down of pick list, and if you have a date field, you'll get the calendar widget. So those are like your standard controller, right? When you use input field, isn't it? And we have less customization, right? You cannot customize the layout the way you want, right? Because it's the standard functionality. It just bring the field with the pencil icon. Okay, follow this, all of you. Are you good with this? Okay. What about adding a new record? What about adding a new record? You see here, I'm going to add a new record, and I'm going to get a uh, input for what are the fields we have defined here. Then I just have to get rid of this uh, record ID. That's it. Isn't it? So we get all the drop down options, everything, and I can insert that over here. Say the record must be insert, right? Okay, very good, very good. And there is another attribute here, mode. Mode will decide whether what is the uh, uh, you know so mode will take the value edit or view. By default, it's edit, I believe. I will just go with the view. Mode equal to view. Okay, mode equal to view. Sorry, and so which record you're going to view? So I just give a record ID here. Okay, by default it is view. View will it is in view mode only, but it will appear the pencil symbol, right? If you like to display this in edit mode, I think these things and all you can see it on yourself. Let me give you a quick demo. I'd like to see uh, what if it is edit. Right, edit, you don't see the pencil, and there is one more mode, read only. So it will completely display in read only mode. Okay, read only. So you cannot edit. Yeah, I don't see edit, right? You cannot edit. Just available for view the record, right? And how to get this record ID dynamically? And you implement this in any page, isn't it? So let's take a quick example. You know how to do that, isn't it? You should know. We already covered that. So first, you need to implement the interface. In order to implement this in any of the pages, implement interface, right? What is the interface? Flexi page, isn't it? Flexi page. Um, Available for all page types, comma. What is the interface required to get the record ID dynamically as record ID, right? As record ID. So now I would say okay. Right. So here I would say V dot. This is standard attribute, isn't it? Sorry, curiosity. Okay. First colon as record right. So now I can implement in any of the pages, right? And of course, not any pages can be only implemented in account page. I'm expecting this. Right. Okay, you got the data, right? So let's open another tab. Right, you see here I got the data here because of the as record ID, and I modify this and save. I hope you noticed it, right? The property what we discussed in the beginning, right? When one component get the service, right, then you don't need to make independent call. Like if you have a, you can try this with three different component and do the DML or update in your database through Apex, and you will see you need to make independent call. Right, that is not the case here, right? You no need to do independent call, right? You update something here, you will see this is a different other component. So everywhere the data is shared. Are you clear? Are you clear with this property? Okay, when you get into this type of a question in interview, so make sure you refer this property of LDS, data service. Okay, so no need to make independent calls to the server. So one component get once the data from the data layer service, right, database, all the component would share the information. Okay, not like your regular way you just get data for one component and every component has to make independent call. It's not required here in this case. Okay, are you good here? Okay, then we'll move on to record view form. So what is the purpose of record view form? Just to display the data. For custom objects, also need to write for save, right? Just an object. You don't need differentiate custom or standard. It's just an object. That's it. This attribute is to refer the object. It's not just for custom or standard. This attribute is for to refer the object. This attribute is to refer the ID. That's it. No differentiation here between the customer. Your standard controller will work for every object, right? I mean, standard or custom. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, record view form. View form is to just to display the data. Record view form, and in record view form, we can we go for a bit customization. We don't give here any UI component, right? No UI input component we given here, input or output component. But here you can see I can include the components like lightning colon output field is a component I can use, and so similar to that record ID and object API name. I can this is for account and let's take a different record ID so that I would have some data to preview, right? So I just hardcode the value as of now. Okay, and output field equal to field name is the attribute we'll use, and which field? Name field. So what are the other field you like to display here? Type, whatever field, from the object you would like to display. Okay, are you good here? So now let me preview this. Isn't it? So I can customize this because we have flexibility, compared to record form. A view form has some flexibility. I can customize this. So how many rows will appear? How many column will appear in a row? right? And okay, it works in this way. Yeah, two columns. The label will get automatically from the database. I mean, because of output field property, right? It brings a label from the database automatically, right? So, okay, if you like to arrange, say, next, I would like to arrange three fields in a row, then I would say, say for example, I say 4 is for description. Next 3 is for rating, or else I just say 4. And next 4 is for ownership. Like this, we can do. Okay, so 3. And you can also apply the grid, right? Grid. So let me apply the similar example with the SLDS grid. Lightning Design System grid class, right? So I would say uh, here the grid is basically to display rows and columns, uh, arrange, right? So this is my outer class. So what is the grid class you will refer? SLDS always start with SLDS grid, okay, and then I would like to display the similar like half of the size. No, the row should occupied by one field. Then you'll say class equal to. So how do you refer the column in the grid? SLDS hyphen col, isn't it? And you would say SLDS hyphen size underscore one of this naming convention already discussed, right? Okay, block element, right? Module, block element module, I believe, BIM. Okay, so this uh, I say this is over here, like this. Like this. Okay, so like this. And why the other field is not appearing? I believe you have to include SLDS wrap. Okay, this will bring the next row to the wrap the other additional rows to the next additional column to the next row. Grid wrap. Okay then. So record edit form. The quick example on record edit form. So view form is just to view the data, right? The view form is just to view the data. So what about record edit form? Record edit form you can edit and you can let record. You can also use to create also. Okay, you can use edit and create. So no much difference. Okay, not much difference. I'm going to take this whole thing for this over here, and instead of input field, I'm right. Instead of I'm going to use edit form, and we're going to use input field. Let's do this. Okay, it's available in the edit mode. Right? If you are going to create a record, then we know the record ID should be removed. Right, and there is one important point here. In the record edit form, we don't see a interface, right? The interface button to save the changes, isn't it? It's not appearing here. So there is a form to create a record, there is a form to edit the data, but I don't see an interface. Okay, so to include a button, there is a standard button, standard method uh, you can bring with the help of lightning button. Okay, normally what you will do in lightning button, you will see label, right? You give label and label uh, and on click functions or something, isn't it? But here we are going to use type equal to on click event you will give, right? Attribute as an attribute. But here you give type equal to submit. And if you want, optionally you can include the variance. Got me? So similarly here, uh, now we'll see. Right, we got that. Right, so I remove this. Save. It must be saved, updated. It must have been updated. Isn't it? So the USA, the text has gone. We are able to update. Okay, able to follow this, all of you? And I don't know whether description is here or not. Maybe description is not given. Right. Anyway, yeah, it is here. Test LDS, right? Okay, then you can update, right? So provided you given this standard function, type submit equal to mention. So this will bring the um, the save button. Okay, follow this all of you. Okay, so you know how to implement this record page. All you have to do is include the interface, and no, and you have to uh, go with as record ID so that you can dynamically refer the which record, no, where you would like to implement this to get the respective record ID. Okay, right. So there is a one more component we have, record data. So record data provide a more granular customization. It's not like your other form. So you have no customization is possible, right? Very less, and only for display, create and edit with no layout customization you can do. So what about record data? Record data, post colon record data. It's a different namespace. Okay, post colon record data. So this will provide option to provide do more customization. Okay, so what is the step involved? First you load the data. So here you get the data and display it, isn't it? You get the data and display it for edit, isn't it? But what about this? You load the data, okay, to using LDS data service to your component attribute. So when you have the data in your attribute, then you can work with the data the way you want, isn't it? You can work with your data the way you want. You can customize whatever you want. You can customize the data because you are not letting the system to display it. You load the data into your local, attribute. The attribute you're going to declare, and then with help of attribute, you can customize your data the way you want. You can display it, right? So let me open a quick notes for you. Okay, so come down here. Yes. So it provides your own component to load the data, right? And to load a data, you have to include a post colon record data tag. Okay, you load it. Then what you have to specify? ID of the record to load. Which record you're going to load? ID should be a part of it, right? As you have ID in your record view form, edit form. So which record you're going to work on? Which record you're going to load? ID of the record. And which component attribute where you would like to load the data? Which component, right? So I have to declare attribute here. That attribute I have to refer here. So where you have to refer here? Okay, so you see here a target field, right? What is this? Target field. So this is where you're going to load the data. So v dot simple record is nothing but attribute name. Type is just generic object type. That's it. You can go with the specific object type, account, or generic object. Okay, so which record you're going to load, where you would like to load. That's it. So these two things are optional. I would explain this. These two things are optional. I'll come back and explain this. And now you can format the way you want. You can format the input and right, because you have the data right now and you can do this. Okay, so let's quickly see this. Guys, able to follow this component. Record data, correct now. Then I would say just to reduce the number of lines. Okay, then I would say, so which record ID you like to uh, edit or load. Okay, so right here you don't refer any object API name and all, because we have an attribute called target field. You go with the generic object type or account, whatever. Correct. Okay, and which field you like to display? You can specify the field. You can specify the field and display only those fields. So when you specify the field here, I can give it comma separated. Right. Okay. So what is missing? Of course, I need to work on the how I'm going to render the field, right? So so here how I'm going to refer the field dot name like this. Okay. And right. Okay. And here we don't have any standard function to modify or update the record. It is there, but we need to handle in different other form, other way. Okay, so there is a function available on the controller side to update the record, to modify the record, to delete the record. There is a function available on the JS side, controller side. Okay, suppose I like to modify it and save the record. Then what you have to do in the controller side, I need to call a method, right? Say I'm going to update. So I just give the method name as update record. Then here I'm going to include an interface. Update on click like this. Okay. I get. So how to bring this button over here at the right side? Okay, got something like this, right? So now how to update this? I like to update this. Then I have method here, and there is a standard function. You can refer here called save record. As we have a standard controller function, method in the classic save, like save control, a save record method we have. Okay, and this must be performed against this record, right? This record data, because this is where we load the data. So okay, so first you have to locate this, which record data you like to against where you like to perform the DML operation. So you need to locate this. In order to locate this, we'll go with RID for this. We'll give some RID tag. So this is what I'm going to locate here. So against which I'm going to perform this. Okay, and so this itself will save the record. But there is a syntax, once the record is saved, then we need to specify what you're going to perform right after the record is saved. A callback functionality, the format you have to define inside this method as an argument. So this method is responsible to save the record into the database. Right? We are not writing any controller Apex here, isn't it? But we are able to save it. But the syntax record an argument, the save record method is record argument, a global a dot, a callback function, get callback. Okay, and open and close bracket. Open and close bracket. Is there anything I missed here? 1 minute. Okay, save record and is going to have a callback. Okay, this is going to have a function inside, right? And this have a, so whatever the record we saved, right? You will get all the a feedback response in the save result. It's a callback function. Once the record is saved, and you can check the status, whether it is success or failure. You can get to know the status, and I say updated successfully. Okay, then else I say failed. Okay, anything else? Right. So we quickly see this. Uh, so I change the this to apparel to textile, update, right? And the method is not compatible with the view form. Okay, by default, right? So by default it is a view. We need to give the mode edit. Okay, we need to give the mode edit. Let's see. Just modify here. Updated successfully. It must be USA. Right, it's working, right? Okay then. Able to follow this, all of you? Able to follow this? Able to follow this? Are you good? Are you good here? So we have a method, respective method that you can invoke on the JS controller side to perform edit, save, you know, okay, those type of. So by default, it's going to display in edit mode. Sorry, view mode. So here they use formatted text, to display the billing city and state with some formatted way. Okay, then yeah. So what happens here? There's an attribute called record updated. There is an attribute called record updated. So this will be invoked. Okay, when the record is loaded, then okay, with the help of get param, you can get the reference, and against the reference, you can refer the change type. So what is the status of the record? Whether its record is modified, whether the record is having any error or loaded. Normally, when you run this page, the record will be loaded, right? That is a function of record data. So you will see, I believe this output will get record is loaded successfully. Okay, so in order to run this, you'll include this in order to run something when record is updated. right? I believe this will run because you load the data into some local variable, then I believe this function will be invoked. But I haven't tested this. Maybe you can try this. I will send this link to you. Okay, but this is not just a purpose of record data. We can do many things here with help of record data. See here, not just loading. We have seen only loading and updating. Updating we have seen, right? Save record method. With help of save record method, you can update. So come down, come down. Where is it? Sorry, here, come down. Record data service. Yeah. So we are going to save the record. Save record. You get callback function, isn't it? Then you update the record. Okay, so this is how you save the record. And if you see the delete record, again we have a function in the controller side. You need to refer a delete record. That's it. Delete record. So all you have to do is call this function, and then callback function is used to check what is the status of the delete, right? Because this callback will run after the DML server action, right? After the server action. Okay, so rest is going to be same. And if you, right? And these things, target error, if any error occurred, then that would be stored in this variable, whatever variable you referred here. Then you can, include a or a if it is not empty, then it means some error occurred in the data service. Then you can display the error over here. So that part is nothing but target error. If record is updated, then this part will run automatically. Okay, so you can have a look. I'll walk through it later. I know if you have any doubt, I'll walk through it. And this is your record data. Any question you have? Able to follow this? Able to follow this? We'll move on. We'll move on to the next topic. Okay, no need to hang around the same topic. I hope you can follow it up yourself. Okay, we have a delete. You can able to delete the record, and all you have to do is you have to refer that function in the JS controller side. You have to call, and record data is used to load the data into your variable, and you can perform the action. In the case of delete record, you need not load the record, right? You need not load the data. See here, you just have to refer the ID. That's it. You have to just refer the ID, which record you are going to delete. So you don't see here target field, right? Target field is you don't see here. And the field will just have to refer ID. We know that it's all we have been right working on this type of framework in Classic also, right? When you delete a record, you're going to refer the ID only. We don't bother about other fields, okay? And we are not going to load the data here. We are just going to refer the ID here. I mean, not going to load the data into local variable, the whole record. Just you have to refer the ID and the field equal to ID, and you have to invoke the function, delete function in onClick, okay? And the function name is delete record. That's it. And you have to locate with the RID, that record data. That is the use of your record data. Hope you got. We have 4 different components in LDS service, right? So view form, record form, edit form, and force record data. Right. I'll upload the examples for your reference. Okay then. Right. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.